Tokyo is one of those cities that completely blew me away when I visited. It's a place where futuristic skyscrapers stand right next to centuries-old temples, and every neighborhood feels like a world of its own. From neon-lit streets that never sleep to tranquil gardens that make you forget you're in a city of 14 million people, Tokyo really has it all. In this video, I'll take you through the top 10 places I personally loved visiting in Tokyo. These are my highlights, the spots that made me fall in love with this city. The first time I stepped into Shibuya Crossing, I felt like I had been dropped straight into the middle of a movie set. When the traffic lights turn red, the entire intersection transforms into an organized flood of humanity. Hundreds of people crossing from every direction at once. I joined the wave, and instead of chaos, there was this incredible rhythm to it. From above, especially at the Shibuya Sky observation deck, it looked like a perfectly choreographed dance. The energy of the area is unmatched. Towering neon signs, giant video screens flashing advertisements, and music echoing from every corner. After crossing a few times just for the thrill, I wandered into Shibuya Center Street filled with shops, ramen spots, and karaoke bars. At night, the lights create this electric atmosphere that makes you want to stay longer. Shibuya isn't just an intersection, it's the heartbeat of modern Tokyo, and being there made me feel alive. In complete contrast to Shibuya's modern energy, Senso-ji Temple in Asakusa felt timeless. As I approached the Kaminarimon Gate with its enormous red lantern, I was instantly transported into old Tokyo. Nakamai Street, which leads up to the temple, was lined with stalls selling traditional snacks, souvenirs, and crafts. I couldn't resist trying ningyo-yaki, small sweet cakes filled with red bean paste. When I finally reached the temple itself, the atmosphere was both vibrant and spiritual. Locals were offering prayers, lighting incense, and drawing fortune slips called omikuji. I tried one myself, and though I got a bad fortune, the tradition says to tie it to a rack so the bad luck stays behind. So of course, I did that. The temple's rich colors combined with the sound of temple bells and chanting left me with a sense of connection to Japan's history. Visiting Senso-ji wasn't just sightseeing, it felt like stepping back through centuries. Not far from the buzzing Harajuku district, I found a completely different Tokyo. Calm, serene, and surrounded by nature. The walk to Meiji Shrine took me along gravel paths shaded by a dense forest of over 100,000 trees. Passing through the massive wooden torii gates felt symbolic, like crossing into another world. When I reached the shrine, I was struck by its elegant simplicity. Wooden structures blending seamlessly with their natural surroundings. The air was filled with the faint smell of cedar and incense. I was lucky to witness a traditional wedding procession, with the bride and groom dressed in exquisite kimonos, moving gracefully under red parasols. It was an intimate glimpse into Japanese culture. Writing a wish on a wooden ima plaque and hanging it alongside thousands of others was a highlight for me. Meiji Shrine offered me peace and reflection, proving that even in one of the busiest cities in the world, tranquility is never far away. Tokyo is a dream destination for food lovers, and nowhere is that more true than Tsukiji Outer Market. Although the famous inner fish market moved to Toyosu, the outer market remains a lively hub for fresh seafood and street food. Walking through the narrow lanes, I was overwhelmed by the smells of grilled fish, sizzling skewers, and soy sauce in the air. I stopped at a stall and tried tamagoyaki, a fluffy rolled omelet, slightly sweet, served on a stick. Then I tasted melt-in-your-mouth tuna sushi that was so fresh it almost spoiled me for sushi anywhere else. Grilled scallops with butter and soy sauce were another highlight, perfectly smoky and rich. Vendors were friendly, offering samples and explaining the dishes. Beyond seafood, I found tea shops, knives, and even pickles unique to Japan. The market was busy, but in the best way, an explosion of sounds, colors, and flavors. It was one of the tastiest mornings I had in Tokyo. Towering at 634 meters, the Tokyo Skytree is impossible to miss on the skyline, and visiting it was one of the highlights of my trip. Taking the elevator up felt like a thrill ride in itself, and when the doors opened, I was greeted with a view that stretched endlessly in every direction. On a clear day, I could even see Mount Fuji rising faintly in the distance. The city seemed infinite, a sea of buildings and lights that went on forever. Walking across the glass floor was both terrifying and exhilarating. I could see all the way down to the streets below. I stayed until sunset, and watching the city transform from golden hour to a sparkling sea of neon lights was unforgettable. The Skytree also has shopping and restaurants at its base, making it easy to spend hours there. It wasn't just an observation tower, it was a perspective that made me realize just how massive and alive Tokyo truly is. Akihabara was unlike anywhere else I'd been. Known as the center of otaku culture, it's filled with anime shops, gaming arcades, and electronic stores, stacked floor after floor. Walking down the main street, I was surrounded by colorful billboards of manga characters, giant screens playing J-pop videos, and endless shops selling collectibles. I stepped into one of the multi-story arcades and spent hours trying claw machines and playing rhythm games alongside locals. It was noisy, chaotic, and absolutely thrilling. I also explored anime shops where you could find everything from rare figurines to vintage manga. Even if you're not a hardcore fan, the energy here is infectious. I had lunch at a quirky maid cafe, where the waitresses dress in costumes and perform songs. It was strange at first, but honestly, so fun. Akihabara is pure Tokyo, bold, eccentric, and unapologetically unique. It felt like stepping into another world where imagination and reality blur. After all the neon lights and high energy, Shinjuku Gyoen felt like a breath of fresh air. This massive park combines traditional Japanese, English, and French garden styles, making it one of the most beautiful green spaces I've ever visited. I went during spring, just as the cherry blossoms were in full bloom. Families, couples, and groups of friends were all sitting under the sakura trees, enjoying hanami picnics. I sat down on the grass, ate some onigiri I'd picked up from a nearby convenience store, and just soaked in the atmosphere. The park's ponds reflected the pink blossoms, and koi fish swam lazily beneath the bridges. Wandering through the landscaped paths, I discovered hidden tea houses and perfectly manicured lawns. It was hard to believe that right outside were skyscrapers and bustling streets. Shinjuku Gyoen showed me the quieter, softer side of Tokyo, a place where the seasons paint the city in new colors. One of my favorite evenings in Tokyo was spent in Odaiba, the futuristic man-made island in Tokyo Bay. Just getting there across the Rainbow Bridge was scenic, with views of the skyline lighting up behind me. Odaiba is full of attractions, from shopping malls to entertainment complexes. But the highlight for me was Team Lab Borderless. Walking through this digital art museum felt surreal. The walls and floors were alive with moving lights, interactive displays, and colors that shifted as I moved. It was like stepping inside a dream. Outside, I walked along the seaside park and watched the life-size Unicorn Gundam statue transform during its evening light show. The atmosphere was playful yet relaxing, with locals enjoying the open spaces by the water. Seeing Tokyo's skyline at night from Odaiba was magical. It's futuristic, artistic, and full of fun, exactly what makes Tokyo so unique. Right in the center of Tokyo sits the Imperial Palace, the home of Japan's imperial family, and visiting it gave me a different perspective on the city. The palace itself is closed to the public, but the East Gardens are open, and they're stunning. Walking across the famous Nijubashi Bridge felt iconic. It's the kind of place you've seen in photos, but in person, it's far more impressive. Inside, I explored the gardens with their stone walls, moats, and traditional landscaping. Cherry blossoms and seasonal flowers made it feel both regal and peaceful. What struck me most was the contrast. Behind me, ancient castle ruins and historical gates. Ahead of me, modern skyscrapers rising in the distance. It's a powerful reminder of Tokyo's ability to balance history and progress. Spending an afternoon here let me slow down, reflect, and appreciate the city's heritage in a way that felt deeply personal. If Meiji Shrine showed me Tokyo's quiet side, Takeshita Street in Harajuku showed me its wild, playful side. This narrow pedestrian street is an explosion of color and creativity. The first thing that caught my eye were the fashion styles, everything from Gothic Lolita to the most eccentric streetwear imaginable. The shops are quirky, selling unique clothing, accessories, and souvenirs you won't find anywhere else. I couldn't resist trying one of the famous crepes, stuffed with strawberries, whipped cream, and even cheesecake. It was over-the-top delicious. The atmosphere was buzzing with young people, tourists, and music pouring out of shops. Harajuku is a place where individuality is celebrated, and you feel like anything goes. Just a short walk away is Omotesando, a street lined with high-end boutiques, showing another side of Tokyo's fashion scene. Takeshita Street was pure fun, colorful, energetic, and unforgettable. And those are my top 10 places to visit in Tokyo, a city that constantly surprised me at every corner. From peaceful temples and gardens to neon streets buzzing with energy, Tokyo truly has something for everyone. Visiting these spots made me realize why people say Tokyo is a city you can visit 100 times and still discover something new. If you're planning your trip, make sure to add these places to your list. You won't regret it.